Continuing our series on the Jaso j52, we are here in the yard to look at the Jaso slew brakes. We're going to look at, first of all, what the slew brake is composed of, and then I'm going to show you how to weather vane it, and then I'll talk really quickly about some troubleshooting stuff. So we'll get started with that. So I've taken the top cover off of this brake to show you what it's made of. So starting at the bottom, if you look at this piece down here, the silver wafer with the two kind of carbony looking pieces on either side of it is your brake disc, followed by your brake butt, which is held down with these three springs. That's your brake magnet, and then you've got some fixing hardware for that. If you look very carefully in the center, difficult to see from this angle, but there's a gap in between the brake butt and the magnet. What happens when you activate your slew is this magnet receives power, it pulls up on this brake butt against these springs and releases friction from this brake pad. It's a fail-safe brake. So when there's no power applied to this, the spring pressure pushes down on this brake butt, which holds the brake closed. So that's how that all works. This air gap in between this piece and this piece is all you need to overcome to weather vane the brake. So it's a very, very small gap. And what you're gonna do, I'll show you on a brake that's all together, is you'll have an assembly here that you'll thread by hand. This rod is attached to this brake butt. So as you thread this piece down, it's going to pull against the cover and pull the brake butt up into the spring, overcoming this very small air gap and allowing this to spin freely. Okay, I've reassembled this brake and I've placed the cover back on it. We always cover our brakes in the Pacific Northwest. It rains a lot. A bucket over the top is the absolute best way to keep your brake running well. So to weather vane it, you pull off your bucket, you see this little handle. Your Jaso crane will have some sort of a handle on top of the brake. Sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it's a nut like you see down here, and you'll need a wrench to turn it. But what's important is that usually the handles are very small because you don't need very much torque. As we've seen, it's a very small gap that we need to overcome. So you just, even with 2 fingers, just get it snug and then give it a little bit. You'll feel it pull up into the springs and you'll feel it stop. And it's usually an 1/8 or 1/4 of a turn. That's all you need to do. Okay, so once you've done that on both brakes, your crane is in weather vane. You've got both handles, you've snugged them up, you've turned them an extra 1/4 to an 1/8, you've felt it pull up into the spring. And if you want to verify that your crane is in fact in weather vane, there are 2 ways you can go about this. You make sure the block is safe and up, the chains aren't going to hit anything if it slews without you controlling it. You can hop in the cab, and with it in weather vane, those handles turned down, you can get it slewing in gear 1, and then you can hit the power off button, the red emergency button. That'll kill the power to the crane, and it will kill the power to these brake magnets. So that would allow these brakes to go back on if you don't have it weather vane properly. So if you're coasting in 1, you hit the red button and the crane keeps coasting, you know you're in weather vane. If it stops and bounces, your brakes have come on. The other way you could test this is you could turn the crane broadside to the wind if it's a windy day, and you could power the crane off and put it in weather vane, and the wind should push it. Those are the 2 ways to test it. If your crane isn't slewing and you suspect a brake failure, you can also use this feature to troubleshoot. So if you suspect that one of your brakes has failed, you can put them in weather vane 1 at a time and test your slew. If your crane isn't slewing with both of the weather vanes off, but it is slewing with 1 or both of them on, you know you've got a problem and you can get in touch with service.